Hey everyone, and welcome back to my channel. Welcome if you're new here. So you guys, we're going to be talking about Kate Gosselin because after years of rumors and speculation, she has officially come out. First, it was on TikTok. She mentioned on TikTok having a boyfriend, mentioned on TikTok that it was Steve, mentioned that it started after his divorce, but then she posted some pictures the other day, I think it was just yesterday on Instagram, confirming that she is in a relationship with her former bodyguard, Steve Neal. Now, if you've been following Kate since Johnny Kate plus 8, then you already know that this is wild news because this has been a rumor that's been floating around for over a decade. This rumor that Kate and homeboy here, Steve, has been a rumor for over a decade. And yes, you guys, happy Veterans Day to all our veterans out there. I will let Sean know that you guys said happy Veterans Day. I keep getting a lot of messages from people saying, tell Sean we said happy Veterans Day. I definitely will, you guys. And right back anybody that's got a veteran in their family. If you are a veteran, happy Veterans Day to you guys. I think she mentioned this like maybe it's been a couple weeks ago. She casually just mentioned that she had a boyfriend. She didn't say any names at first. She casually mentioned that she had a boyfriend. Of course, the people in the chat was like, "Is it Steve? Is it Steve?" She did end up confirming that it was Steve. Then, not long after that, she made sure to say that it was not back in the day, that their relationship. Here's just a picture for you guys to look at back in the day of them together. Him, the bodyguard or whatever. But yeah, she made it very clear though that this is what she said, that the relationship started after Steve got a divorce. She actually emphasized that part, probably because she knew what was coming next. Everybody saying, we told you so, everybody bringing up the old rumors. And for anyone who doesn't remember, Steve was Kate's bodyguard when Johnny Kate plus 8 was at its peak. He was basically always around family trips, press events, interviews, you name it. Steve was there. At the end of this video, I have a nice little picture of Steve with John because he was there with John. Like he worked with Kate and John together. He was hired by the network to protect the family. Although I did have a hard time finding many pictures of him with John. It was more there's one. I literally found one picture of him with John. All the other ones are of him and Kate. So he definitely seemed to be by Kate more. He was snapped in all the pictures by Kate. Very like I couldn't even find any of him like by John. But yeah, back then specifically, now I will say, as someone that watched this show, who was a huge fan of the show, probably seen every single episode, I don't remember if there was any rumors that him and Kate had anything going on until after John and Kate split up. I think it was after they split, but it was like almost immediately after they split, I do think, because they were just everywhere together. They were constantly photographed together. So people were suspicious of how close they seemed to be immediately after the divorce. And there was constant like headlines suggesting something romantic was going on between them. Let's rewind to 2009 for a second. That's when the rumors really blew up. And I think this is when paparazzi were constantly snapping photos of Kate and Steve traveling together, sometimes without the kids or the crew. John Gosselin himself even publicly accused Kate of having an affair with Steve. He went on the record saying that he thought something inappropriate was going on and that he felt betrayed. Kate, of course, denied it completely at the time, and Steve, who was married with kids, also denied it. Fast forward to 2005, here we are. Kate has officially confirmed what everyone has been speculating for 15 years. After she shared the news on TikTok, she later posted on Instagram confirming the relationship again. But according to Kate, there's no overlap, nothing wrong. She was not the other woman. She was not a mistress for like 10 years, 10 plus years. She claims nothing romantic back in the day happened, just a friendship that later turned into something more once they were both single. Now, y'all look at this. This is People Magazine. It's going to quote Kate from back in the day. It's going to quote, and it's pretty wild to see what she said back in the day. Okay, Kate Gosselin, ex-husband John and son Collin react to rumors that she's dating Bodyguard she denied having an affair with in 2009. I told you all, John wrote in an Instagram story posting as Collin accused Kate of previously sharing hotel rooms with the family's bodyguard. The identity of Kate Gosselin's new mystery man may have been unmasked. The reality star's ex-husband John Gosselin and one of their sextuplets, Collin, has taken to Instagram to react to and fuel the rumors that Kate is dating Steve Neal, the family's bodyguard that she was accused of having an affair with in 2009, the same year she and John got divorced. At the time of the allegations, listen to this. Okay. At the time of the allegations, Kate vehemently denied things ever turning romantic with Neil, calling the reports disgusting, unthinkable, and unfathomable. Kate also said that she was horrified by the gossip. Now, just days after Kate revealed that she's been dating someone for a little over a year and that she is super, super happy, John took to Instagram to react to the claims that Kate's new beau is Neil. People has reached out to Kate for comment. Guess who ruined the marriage? He wrote on Instagram Wednesday, September 24th, alongside screenshots of the articles linking Kate to Neil.
Yep. And she lied to y'all, saying that that's absurd. I would never be with him. I would never be with him. That's absurd. I can pull those articles up too. Exactly. Poor Gina. Exactly. I deserve this drink. I really do. I don't drink during the week, but I deserve this one. She does talk about me, you stupid motherfucker. She talks about me all the time, and she has little digs like, oh, I had to go to court so much, and it wasn't the best thing for my kids. Dude, you were the plaintiff. You were the one that took me to court because TLC was trying to get me to sign over my kids to TLC. The fuck off my page, user. You don't even have a real name. Fucking assholes, man. All these haters, they'll believe they'll literally go to the ends of the earth. They'll go to the ends of the earth to defend someone that they think is their TV character. And you let the haters come in. Then you guys can go after the haters that are like stupid people. Remember, they're your friends and neighbors too. Trust me, I know all too well about that. Yep. She's trying to build an army because I know certain projects she's working on. She's trying to rewrite her script. Try to rewrite cheating on your husband and getting a divorce. And you all wonder why I didn't want to do TV anymore. And I couldn't talk about it because I was gagged for 10 years by the network because the network was defending her insurrections. I'm glad she's watching. She should be fucking watching. Fucking cheer. Oh, yeah, it's very interesting. She keeps my last name. For someone who hates me so much, I find it very interesting.
I'm going to defend Kate. Listen, I try to keep things like a buck here. Like, even if I don't like you, I try to, like, be fair. And I don't like when people say that. I don't like when people say, well, why they keep their last name, unless there's no children. Kate may have ulterior motives for keeping his last name. It could be because that's the name that she become famous with. But me personally, like, my name is, well, I go by Elle Bee, but like my older two kids, they have my maiden name because they were by my, ex-boyfriend that I dated from the time I was like 12 until 21. We had two kids together. We never married. He did not show up at the hospital to sign their birth certificate. So they got my last name. Praise God. That was a unanswered, like a blessing in disguise because I actually wanted him there to sign their birth certificate because I was young, dumb, and in love. He didn't show up, and now it worked out for the best, that he didn't show up. So anyways, when I got married to my husband, though, I dropped my middle name. I took on my last name as my middle name. That way I could still have my older two kids' last name as my middle name. If me and Sean were to ever get a divorce, which we never will, but if we were ever to get a divorce, I would absolutely 1,000% keep his last name because I have 4 children by him. That is their last name. So I 100%, like, I get what he's saying. Like, why does she keep my last name? Because to him, he's probably thinking, you hate me so much. You're only keeping the last name because it's like fame is, attached to the last name. And that could be that could be the reason she's keeping the last name, but we really don't know that. Like, we really don't know why she's keeping it. It could be because, well, those are my kids' last names, so yeah, I'm going to keep it. Or it could be, well, that's, a famous name. Like, if I go back to Kate, whatever her name was before, and I change all my social medias to Kate Shannon, I don't know, like, nobody's going to know who she is. Nobody's going to follow that account because they're not going to know that it's Kate Gosselin. So I am going to defend Kate. in that regard as to she could be keeping the last name because that's the name of her kids. Like Mackenzie Edwards, I've seen people say that. Like, well, why does Mackenzie keep Ryan's last name? Well, she has kids, they marry, she has kids, that their last name is Edwards. So maybe that's why. I don't know. So I'm just gonna speak on that. Yeah, it is more beneficial to her. So that could be why, or it could be just because that's her kid's last name. Or it could be both.
I love the people how they just jump in here. Either follow along or fucking get off my page.
Yeah, it's hot.
All right, so let's see how this saga continues.
I would love to actually interview him, honestly.
No, I'm not going to take her to court. I'm going to take TLC to court for defamation and torturous interference, ruining my fucking life, indemnifying me. Because that's their employee over there. Yep, that's their employee. Way to go. They're probably shitting their pants right now, lowering up. Yep. I don't care if you do reality TV. Don't ever fucking sign with TLC or any Discovery Network. You're fucked for at least 10 years.
And I can understand people like, this is just my 2 cents once again speaking into this, but as somebody that like followed this, and then when his 10 years was up and he finally was no longer gagged, I can kind of understand. Like, like Rebecca's like, oh, he sounds jealous. I can understand why people think that. Like, oh my gosh, so much time has passed. Like, you got somebody else. Like, y'all's kids are grown. Like, leave it alone. I don't think it's jealousy at all. This man was, first off, okay, let me paint the picture of how things went back then, from my understanding. This show was one of the biggest reality TV shows. This family was hugely celebrity status, right? I think it was like they were like 10 years into it or something. I don't even remember, but several years into it, they were huge, right? She was mean as hell. Go back and see if you can find the show. She was so mean to him. Okay. He was a punching bag to her. He couldn't say, I mean, you guys remember like, oh my God, you're breathing. I watched that the other day and I'm like, I literally can't even hear him. But she's like, you're literally like, and I'm like, he's wearing a mic and I didn't hear him. Like, so how, you know what I'm saying? She literally was so mean to him. She was very controlling, micromanage every little thing. So anyways, he don't want to do reality TV anymore. They're having a lot of issues. They talk about a divorce, decide to split up. However, the network, when they go to the network with the decision for them to split up, the network is like, no. They offered him like $2 million to stay in the marriage. They were like, you can date if you want, just keep living in the house, keep filming like things are good. And he was like, no, I'm not going to do it. He was still under contract. So to get out of contract, he had to get out of his contract to continue filming. He had to sign a NDA, and he was put under a gag order to where he could not speak about anything for 10 years. He could not speak about Kate. He couldn't speak about the network. He couldn't speak about anything for 10 years, right? Now, here's the thing. The last season that they filmed was them going to Hawaii to renew their vows. That was the last season that they filmed. Then it was shortly after that things blew up and, he wanted a divorce, whatever. So at the time that the last season of them together was airing, it was showing us them, going to Hawaii, renewing their vows. But in reality, this was a year later. They were split up. He had already started dating. She was probably dating too, to be quite honest. She was probably, boinking Steve already at this point. Now, allegedly, TLC gets paparazzi to follow him, take pictures of him with the girlfriend, and they paint the picture that he cheated. Okay. This is from my understanding that, they couldn't have this show coming out showing them renewing their vows. And then if they couldn't control the narrative, if people just saw him out and about and they weren't painting a narrative that he was out cheating, that Kate was at home with the kids and he was out cheating, blah, 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 blah. If people just would have saw him and posted pictures and been like, oh my God, like on the show, we're watching them renew their vows and they're happy. He's out here, you know what I'm saying? Like, what's going on? So allegedly, the network jumped on the smear campaign against John to paint him as he was cheating on Kate. And come to find out, like, when he started dating, like, it was like a year later, like, they had already been split up, but it just so happened that what we were seeing on the TVs was them, renewing their vows. So it didn't make sense. Either way, the network painted him as this cheater who didn't want to have anything to do with the kids. Um, Meanwhile, he was trying to fight to keep the kids off TV because he just felt like reality TV was like messing up the family. He's seen like the damage that it was doing, how obsessed Kate was with it, and how so he's like, I'm out of this. I don't want our kids filming. Like this is bad. Like I just want to stop all of it. He spent like $1 million in legal fees trying to get custody of the kids, trying to keep the kids off the show. But yeah, they put him under a 10-year gag order to where he can't talk about anything. So behind the scenes, he's fighting for custody of the kids. Behind the scenes, he's, trying to keep the kids off the show, but he's up against TLC. So ultimately, TLC, they win. The kids can continue filming. However, at some point, Collin was sick of it. Collin didn't want to film no more. He had a bad attitude. If you go back and you watch Kate Plus 8, like the last few seasons, episodes that Collin was on, he was over it. He wouldn't even speak really while they were filming. Like he sat on the couch like this. Well, then what happens to Collin? Bam, disappears. Collin's gone, disappears. And Collin said, like, the reason I got shipped off is because I wouldn't comply. Like, I didn't want to film anymore. Abuse was happening, and he got taken out of school because his mom was scared that he would go to school and tell the teacher about him, like her locking him up in the basement and stuff like that. Why in the world did he sign it? To get out of his contract. So to get out of his contract, he was in a contract to continue filming, and he was like, I'm not going to continue filming. I will not continue filming. So he signed this agreement, a 10-year gag order. That's from my understanding. Okay. So anyways, I think the frustration comes is, well, first off, for 10 years, he couldn't speak. For 10 years, this man couldn't even like tell his own side of the story of all these tabloids, posting his picture on the front page of their magazine with his girlfriend saying like, oh, she's the other woman. He's been cheating on, like, one of the girls was a teacher. Like one of the first girls that he dated was like a school teacher. And it like ruined her life too, because they tried to paint it as like she was the other woman when really they were split, but he couldn't even say anything. He couldn't say anything. So I can understand the frustration. Like he was painted the cheater. He was painted as like, the bad person in all this for all those years, to now find out like that what he thought that Kate was messing around with the bodyguard Steve, to now find out like, okay, more than likely it is true because now she's coming out and saying they are dating. Granted, she's saying they've only been dating for a year. I mean, what do you guys think? Do you guys think that all that time they spent together, that they weren't actually messing around and they actually waited until he got a divorce? I don't know.
Yeah, go to Collin's page too. I think Collin's on here somewhere. Yeah, he is. I'll invite him in. A contract with TLC, they silenced me for 10 years. If I did any press, they would sue me. But I'm just going to air it all out there. I'm going to bring out, ask Collin, I'll bring out all the legal documents, everything to prove everything, anything she's ever said, anything that TLC's ever said. Fuck it. You want to get dirty? I'll just get dirty. I'll produce legal documents for everything.
Shout out Tea Time 2025 for capturing that clip. But yeah, he is just like over it at this point. Like her coming out, acknowledging the relationship, but still trying to say that it was only a year and a half or a year, whatever. They all know. Let me see this other video. Here's another video of Collin and John talking about the relationship. This interview was done, I think, let me see, a couple weeks ago.
I believe Kate was cheating on me during my marriage. Oh yeah, he did. He slept in the basement of my house. As soon as it aired on TLC Monday nights at 9 o'clock, which was our time slot for like 10 years, became the #1 show on cable. And I lived like I live now in a development with a driveway, and people came. So then the network provided security for us, 24/7 security. And Steve he headed the risk management company for Discovery. So he supplies all the security for all the talent. If you need DoD security and you go travel abroad and you have to work with the Department of Defense, he handles all that stuff. So I met him in about, I'm going to say 2007, around there. The big thing is when we went to Utah and we had to travel with all these kids. Now we're on TLC, and that was a 2-hour special, and like Beth and her daughter came, and all these people were involved. You know, it's just a lot of coordination. That's when it really kind of provided security. Later on, we had security teams because my kids were more mobile and those kind of things. TLC didn't really say anything until I said something about stuff, but TLC didn't say anything because he's in charge of security for the network. So they're not questioning his motives at that time. If you look at timeline, he's with us in 2007, vow renewal in 2008. We start talking about divorce and separation in January of 2009. I go to meet Dr. Phil about some marriage contract. Sorry for swearing. And then she files for divorce in June of 2009. So it like went pretty fast in retrospect to time. I'm just more concerned about when it actually transpired, because I know for a long, long time, at least 17 years, that they've been canoodling or together or anything. And, you know, like Collin said in his TikTok, he was just like, just come out with it. Just tell, what's the difference? Why do you keep on lying about timeline?
Okay, so it says, what really upsets me is that my mom had an affair with our bodyguard way back in 2009. And for years would share hotel rooms with him while we went on family vacations while I was in a connected room. Now everyone thinks her being with him is so cute, is some cute novel romance. By the way, my dad received D threats and got shunned by the public for years for having an affair and leaving his kids. I hope she doesn't try to play this one off. Just come forward and be truthful.
You know, it's just, it would make more sense. But obviously it's been longer than a year, because I know for a fact, you know, there's been witnesses, and I do have children and have a relationship with my children. They've told me stuff.
How long do you think they've actually been dating for?
I think steadily, probably 10 years. But we're planning or thinking about it for probably 15 maybe. So like 5 years, and then 10 years they actually started doing stuff, and then now they're just coming out. Listen, I was labeled a cheater by TLC and Kate for 17 years. They created fictitious stories about me, pumped them out in the public, put me on a gag order so I couldn't defend myself. And that was for contract, because they sued me, but they really were gonna sue me. Our divorce didn't end because I was cheating. Our divorce ended because I knew she was seeing Steve. I knew I didn't want to film anymore. And I knew my kids weren't happy filming all the time. So those are the three things. And then I had the network pushing back against me. And, you know, when I left, they just created the narrative that I was cheating and I was moving on and doing other things. All meanwhile, I know these two were still hooking up or doing whatever.
I absolutely believe it is Steve. Even before any articles came out, I always had information pertaining to a relationship with him. However, I always believed that advocating for abuse and things that went on in the home and just any bad things that come from reality TV, I always believed that those were higher on the list of priority versus talking about her relationship with him. However, when it does pertain to it being cheating, I think that's a different story. My only thing is that I can see her playing this off, it being somebody else magically, like some pawn prop man or something, or her saying, oh, you know, well, this really did just start, you know, about 15 months ago when, you know, the signs were always there. Pictures, people would see them out in Berks County together. I mean, we have pictures of them in North Carolina together. And actually, my sister, Hannah, has spoken to me and my dad about him actually living in the home. I remember he used to stay over here and there.
Now, I do have to stop and I do have to say that Hannah commented on like the Sun, like put up a TikTok of this, and Hannah commented and said, I haven't said anything about any of this. I don't know if she is saying I never told my dad or Collin that, because John and Collin both said the same thing. They both implied that Hannah has talked to them about it. He straight up said Hannah. He straight up said Hannah. And John implied, he said, well, I have other kids that I talked to that told me about it, which would imply Hannah, because the only kids that he talks to is Collin and Hannah.
Or like some nights, maybe if it was like before vacation or something like that, or we'd leave the home and he'd be coming with us. However, it was later on that Hannah revealed that he was like literally living at the house with them. So when we would go on vacation, she was always very close with him, like whether that was in the bus or in the limousines or anything like that. And that was in front of all my siblings. However, later on, my mom would start to keep me in the hotel room with her, either in a connected room or in a hotel room on a cot, on like those rollout cots. But Steve was always very, like, he would come in the room and be very close with her, very touchy, and with me right there. And she would either keep me there or in a connected room. And I do remember in Mexico, I was in a connected room and he stayed in the same hotel room as her. So this was not news to me. There also was another bodyguard that was hired on for Mexico, and I think he was local, native to Mexico. And she would actually keep me back with him so that Steve could go out with them and do whatever. Or if the kids stay with the babysitters, she would go out with Steve. So this was nothing new to me. I do not believe it's been a year. They were always very close, and like the signs were there of romantic involvement or an affair, because things were always very shady. So I don't buy the, oh, it's been a year. I mean, maybe she's okay talking about it now, especially since Steve's divorce with his wife. And mind you, I'm not here to slander Steve. I actually do want to put a good point in here that oftentimes when Steve would come on vacations with us, I actually felt very safe because he used to actually defend me against her, in the sense that my mom always treated me very differently than my siblings, and anybody could see that. Anybody that she was comfortable doing that around. And oftentimes on vacations, it was nice having Steve there because he would literally defend me and tell her, like, stop, like, stop.
There was other people in the picture. I think his name was Jeff. Did that really happen? You're like trying to cover up. And, you know, Kate has lying issues. She says one thing and then says another. If you go to the People magazine article, she undisputedly denied it, and now she doesn't want to fall back on her word. You know, I mean, in certain situations, it's one thing, but like, if it was happening then you should just admit it and just say you lied. America's pretty forgiving. I mean, we forgive a lot. People do a lot of messed up things, and we're just like, oh, cool, you know, all right, go play baseball, go play football, do whatever you want, you know. So I don't know. I think it's just funny that you would just create another fictitious story when you could just own up to it.
Do the right thing. Tell the truth. Come clean. If you get married, congratulations. That's good on you, but let's fix the past before we button it all up in flowers and rings, you know?
Okay, so there is them talking about the situation. Now, I think the interview was done after it came out that she was dating, but it wasn't confirmed who it was with. Because if you heard him, Collin, say, yeah, I believe it's probably Steve. So I think this was after she said she was dating, but had not yet confirmed that it was Steve. Country Lizard says Hannah does call Collin out on things. Remember when he first got out of the group home and he went on IG and said, Dad hit me, and the cops came and Hannah said, Dad never hit you? Yes. And a lot of people point back to that as Collin being a liar. Like, oh, Collin's a liar. Remember when he called the cops on his dad and said that his dad hit him? Yes. And we have to think about a boy that was born into this large family who had a mom that was, you know, that singled him out. They were on national television. He hated being on television as he started getting a little older. She singled him out. Even Hannah confirms this on a documentary they did, Dark Side of the 2000s, that like Collin wasn't allowed to eat with them. He didn't come outside and play with them. Collin says like he was put down in the basement. But Hannah says like we would be outside playing. Collin was not allowed to be out there with us. We would be eating. Collin was not allowed to be eating with us. She's like, I never really knew like what was going on with him, like where he was. Well, Collin says I was in the basement. Like at times, zip tie. Think about a boy at, 7, 8 years old who is being singled out from his family. He is being, like the redheaded stepchild, the way he's being treated. Then at 11 years old, he gets put in an institution at 11 years old. He is there for, I think, like almost 2 years. His mom visits him once. He's put on all kind of medication that has him just like weight gain, and he has to write a letter and sneak it out to his dad to get his dad to come get him. I don't know if he lies. So this is what I think. I think Collin definitely, probably had moments where he would act out, maybe, which can be somewhat normal in kids, especially when you have like a larger family. There may be one child that feels like he's not getting enough attention. So rather than, do positive things to get attention, he'll maybe do negative things like act out. So maybe Collin, maybe at a young age, he acted out from time to time, wanting attention from his mom. And rather than, the attention that he got was negative attention, put down in the basement, separated from the rest of the family. Now, I think when he got out of the facility and went to live with his dad, mind you, he hasn't seen his dad in years. He hasn't seen his dad in years. He's dealing with all these issues, coming off all this medication, and more than likely, I'm sure his dad probably also dealt with times of him acting out just because of all that he went through. Like, I'm sure this poor boy got like PTSD. You know, just because you have a child, maybe at 6, 7, 8, 9 years old, that maybe acts out from time to time, it doesn't make them a horrible kid. It doesn't make it, that obviously is a sign that there's something missing and they need some therapy or they need some extra attention to see what is going on with them and why, why they're struggling and why they are acting out the way that they did. But Collin did admit, basically, John did an interview where he talked about what happened, and him and Collin did get into it, and he had to restrain Collin. He had to like hold Collin. And Collin called the cops and said his dad hit him, which really, he wasn't hitting him. He was restraining him because Collin was acting out. So that's what happened there. You can find the interview. I think like E! News maybe did the interview with John where he talked about what happened. Yeah, Hannah called him out there and was like, no, like my dad did not hit him. So, but I don't think because Collin has struggled and maybe had these instances where, he called the cops on his dad and said his dad hit him. I don't think that means that he's not the victim when it comes to what happened with Kate. You know what I'm saying? Yeah, he said it was a form of a hug they told John to do with Collin when he acts out. What do you guys think? This is Kate. One girl, 10 things I'm obsessed with. I don't know why my computer's loading. I do remember something about the journal, so I just looked it up. Thank you, Rebecca, for reminding me. Okay, so it says, here's what we know. Kate Gosselin kept personal journals for many years, mostly during and after the John and Kate +8 era. These journals become public knowledge in 2013 when her ex-husband, John Gosselin, allegedly found some of them, along with old emails on her computer. Portions of her journals were leaked online during the Kate Gosselin journal scandal, which sparked a massive controversy. According to leaked excerpts, which were later published by a few outlets before being taken down for legal reasons, Kate's journals included entries about her frustrations with John, describing their marriage problems and her feelings about him being lazy and not helping enough, notes about parenting the Goslin's children, including details about their routines, discipline, and her struggles as a mom of 8. Some of the more shocking parts include her allegedly writing about being very strict and harsh with the kids, things like spanking or disciplining them in ways some readers found concerning. She also wrote about how overwhelmed she was by fame filming and trying to maintain order in the house. It's important to note Kate never confirmed that the leaked excerpts were real. Her legal team at the time said the materials were stolen and published illegally, and they took steps to have them removed from the internet. Okay, so if her legal team said that the materials were stolen and published illegally, well, that would mean that they're real, right? Because how can you steal something that's fake? Oh, hello? John was accused of hacking or improperly accessing the computer where the journals and emails were stored. That led to a lawsuit between Kate and John in 2018, which was later dropped. So in short, Kate's journals reportedly showed a very private, unfiltered side of her thoughts about John, parenting, and fame. But because they were obtained and shared without her consent, most outlets later pulled the content. Okay, so here's a breakdown of what people claimed Kate Gosselin's leaked journals revealed back when those excerpts were circulating online. Again, none of this was ever officially confirmed by Kate, and the materials were later removed due to being obtained without consent. So this is all allegedly. All right. She supposedly vented about John being lazy or unmotivated and about her feeling like she had to do everything for the kids and the house. There were also passages that made it sound like she resented John's lack of ambition and wanted more control over their public image and finances. Some readers said the tone showed that Kate had already emotionally checked out of the marriage long before their 2009 divorce. This was the part that really blew up online. The alleged excerpts described Kate as being extremely strict, like punishing the children for minor rule breaking and writing about spanking or disciplining them harshly when they misbehave. Some entries were reportedly about her getting angry quickly and then feeling guilty afterwards. Critics used those supposed entries to argue that Kate was controlling or emotionally cold, while her supporters said she was just an overwhelmed mom of 8 trying to survive chaos. Several entries reportedly touched on how exhausted Kate was from filming Johnny Kate Plus 8. She supposedly wrote about feeling like she couldn't let the camera see her lose her control or look weak. There were mentions of her feeling trapped, needing the show's money to support the kids, but also resenting how invasive it was. Some of the writings apparently showed that she was hyper-focused on maintaining the family's brand and public image. Fans who read the leaked material say they painted a picture of someone who needed order and perfection. Kate reportedly wrote about how chaos in the house made her anxious and how she'd rather the kids fear her a little than act out. That theme of control over the kids, the schedule, and John came up a lot in people's summaries of the journal. When these entries surfaced in 2013, Kate's team quickly moved to shut it all down. They said the materials were illegally hacked from her computer. Kate later sued John, accusing him of conspiring with a blogger to steal and leak her private files. John denied hacking her and said the materials were from an old backup, not stolen. The lawsuit was eventually dismissed in 2019, but it reopened a lot of old wounds between them. In short, if real, showed a woman who was overwhelmed, angry, and struggling to manage a public marriage, 8 kids, and fame. But because they were leaked in such a shady way, it's impossible to know what's real versus what was taken out of context. I would be more curious to know more about the discipline side of things. Yeah, she definitely, if you go back and you watch the show, she definitely was like super OCD about things. Right. She should have done right by the kids and quit TV, which is what John wanted to do. Some of the kids weren't into filming. John wasn't into it anymore. Obviously, I'm sure they all felt like it was super invasive. So why not just quit the show? I mean, I get it. It's an income. And when you have 8 kids, like you need an income. There's not many jobs you can have that will take care of a family that, of that size. So I can kind of get it. Like, oh my goodness, like, they're making tons of money to, shut down that kind of money or just deal with it. And that would be a hard call to make. Has any of her family interviewed? I just wonder what they say about having the fallout. I've only heard Kate's side, which we know is probably not the truth. I know a lot of her family doesn't have anything to do with her. Like back when the show, they did get donations. They did, yeah. Back when the show was airing, and she was with John, she had like some siblings and their spouse that was on the show. But from my understanding, I don't think they have anything to do with her anymore. So yeah, that's what it is, you guys. She has finally admitted to being in a relationship with Steve. However, she says it's only been going on for a year and a half since he got a divorce from his wife. However, according to John and Collin, they say they believe the relationship has been going on far longer than that. Kevin and Jody, yeah, I think that's their names. Did Collin ever reconnect with her aunt and uncle? Not to my knowledge, but I don't know. But yeah, you guys, that's where we're at right now. I'm waiting to see if Steve pops up on her TikTok. Now that she's on TikTok, I wouldn't be shocked if he did. But you guys leave me your thoughts in the comment section below. What do you guys think? Do you guys think that they only, mind you, these two spent so much time together. He stayed the night at their house, slept in the basement when John was still there. But then once John left, who knows where he slept. Collin remembers him staying in the same hotel room as his mom, and then Collin being put in a connected room as much time as they spent together. I don't know. I think the relationship has probably been going on for many, many, many years. It would be interesting to hear Steve's ex-wife speak out on this. He's got grown kids too, so that'd be interesting to hear what they have to say. But anyways, you guys, leave me your thoughts in the comment section below. What do you guys think about Kate and Steve? Is this a much older relationship that they are just now coming out with? Or did they only start dating after his divorce? Leave me your thoughts in the comment section below. And make sure you like, share, subscribe, and come back and hype this video up if you guys don't mind. It would really help tell YouTube that the video is a decent video, that you guys enjoyed it, and they would push it out into the algorithm for other people to see. So if you guys don't mind, please like, comment, and come back and hype your girl up. Bye, guys.